Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hello everyone, this is Goatee, Goatean Scriptures, here again with another audiobook offering. Today I'm going to be reading Venom and Honey by Jayalalita, Devi, Dasi. Just a couple of things here before I go into here. I have to put this disclaimer in there that in case some of my normie friends ever find out that I'm reading from the Martinet Press, they're not going to think the wrong way or, think that I'm like a bad guy or something like that. Okay. I am currently have no communication with J.S. Hoy. I have no current affiliation, condone, or support for the Temple of Blood, right-wing extremism, or extremist religion, or terrorist groups, okay? That is absolutely not okay. Now, Jayalalita Devi Dasi there, she is J.S. Hoy. She is Julian Sutter, Joshua Sutter's wife. And for those of you who don't know about Joshua Sutter, just put in any search engine, Joshua Sutter, Atomic Waffles. Joshua Sutter is the founder of Temple of Blood. He's also was the member of an extremist right-wing terrorist group, Atomic Waffles. There, very mean guys, bad dudes. You do not want to get wrapped up in that kind of stuff. Okay, so Venom and Honey, Vaishnavia devotional, and just so you know, even though Martinet Press reserves all the rights, I am doing this under fair use because there's a very high possibility of additional commentary by myself. So fair use is protected here because I am doing this for educational purposes and critique and review. Okay, so Venom and Honey, a Vaishnavia devotional, copyright by Jayalalita Devi Dasi, who is J.S. Hoy, 2016, second edition, Martinet Press, ISBN 13-978-0997-8-36301. All rights reserved. No part of this work may be copied or reproduced in any way without the express written permission of the author. J.S. Hoy, if you are listening to this, if you do want me to take this down, all you have to do is just leave a comment on this video like, hey, can you take this down? And I absolutely will take this down. But if you do not comment, if you do not request that this video be taken down, I will assume that you are okay with this being on YouTube for the purposes of educational and review purposes. If you like the book, if you like this, go on to Amazon and purchase it yourself or whatever. Okay, and again, this is just for educational purposes. Okay, I do not condone or support the Temple of Blood. Okay, they are very nasty, very bad guys. I do not support Atomic Waffles or anything associated with them. Very bad guys. Okay, this is just for educational purposes. Hail the goat. All right, Venom and Honey. Forward. When Sri Katyana Mahaprabhu, the great 16th century Vishuddha saint, disappeared in 1534, he left behind him a radically transformed religion. Prior to the Mughal, many spiritual traditions claiming descent from the religion of the Vedas had become enormously decadent and unwieldy. Near hostility between the Varnas and the Asramas had become the norm, where the Brahminical sannyasi had claimed primacy over all, but demanded material support from the householder Brahmin, who in turn insisted that their spiritual inferiors, the Kshatriyas owed them rich gifts in return for their spiritual and moral support. What had initially been a system that recognized the necessity of renunciate and householder alike, and similar need to divide people according to their natural professional affinities, had broken down to such an extent that the invading Muslims were able to conquer India, despite overwhelming numbers of the Indian population and the supposed might of the vaunted warrior caste. In a country that presided itself on soldiers and the likes of Arjuna, one might well ask, why were the Mongols able to seize control? And worse yet, when the Mughal did establish themselves, the Brahmins were faced with the consequences of their centuries-long denigration of the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, to say nothing of the Dalits, who were now faced with a new religion, Islam, that offered complete freedom from the oppression of the caste system. If a Sudra pig farmer would not afford the luxurious rights of the Vedas, a local imam told him that he could simply abandon the broken system of the Hindiyon, meaning the religion of India, hence the later term Hindu. And indeed, Hindus, to use the Muslim term, did begin to abandon the traditional practices in favor of the new religion of their Mughal overlords. For the Vedic traditions, things seemed grim. But for Sri Katyayana, Katyayana, this great saint completely baffled Hindus and Muslims alike with his radical rejection of the broken and bastardized practices that claimed Vedic support. Lord Katyayana rejected the norms and associated with race, caste, gender, and called everyone to devote themselves to the supreme personality of Godhead. Sri Katyayana's companions and students included men and women, slave and free, noble and foreigner alike. Even infidels, Muslims, found a place in his inner circle. Sri Katyayana cleared away the garbage that the Brahmins and Sannyas had accrued. He removed the most complex and arduous Vedic practices which had become impossible or impractical. That is not to say that he destroyed the Vedas, but rather he unlocked their hidden meaning. This was necessary to do because the purpose of the Vedic Dharma had been forgotten. It had never been the ritual itself, which many Brahmins claimed. Rather, it had always been Krishna. He himself declares this to be so in the Bhagavad Gita. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. 9:16. Sri Katyayana reminded people that the secret of all religious practice, indeed the secret of all existence, is to know Krishna, be intimate with Krishna, and to serve Krishna. Beyond this, nothing else matters. Sri Katyayana taught the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He did not perform the Vedic sacrifices of the Rig Veda because they were enormously expensive and excluded 90% of the devotees for economic reasons. Instead, he performed and taught very simple rites. He did this quoting Krishna himself, saying, "If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me." Bhagavad Gita 9:26-27. Many people have tried to make Katyayana into a bloodless pacifist, stressing the absence of ceremonial victims despite the Vedic requirements for such rites. That kind of thinking is all too common among the ignorant of history, especially that of the Mughal period. Katyayana was a ruthless pragmatist. If the Mughal banned blood sacrifices, Katyayana countered with harvest offerings. If the Mughal closed Hindu abattoirs, Katyayana countered with vegetarian lifestyle. If it became too difficult to attend temple without being persecuted, one simply chanted the Hare Krishna at home. Katyayana was equally baffling to his own community. Where the Brahmins had previously lorded their lofty position over all Varnas, Katyayana offered Brahminical initiation to anyone who showed the desire and aptitude. Most importantly, Sri Katyayana taught the supremacy of devotion. When he had descended prior as Krishna, he said, "O Arjuna, only by undivided and devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. He who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me." Bhagavad Gita 11:54-55. It is devotion, and by devotion alone, that one can reach union with the Absolute. Neither rights, nor hatred, nor lust, nor blasphemy will accomplish this otherwise. Devotion is the key. Devotion is all. Jayalalita Devi Dasi is a contemporary American member of the tradition founded by Sri Katyayana Mahaprabhu. More importantly, she is a direct initiate of the community Sampradaya founded by him. Through her spiritual master, she has taken on the very same practices and disciplines taught and performed by the great Vaisnava Sate himself. Like Lord Katyayana, Jayalalita is not afraid of controversy. She speaks directly to this generation in bold language, using words and language that shock and dismay. In doing this, she remains true to the original Vaisnava model, because religion is not about respect or conformity to social norms. Rather, it is about Godhead. In other words, religion means giving God head, i.e., restoring him to the position of prominence that modern society has failed to respect and acknowledge. Martinet Press is proud to collaborate with Jayalalita Devi Dasi, is releasing the second edition of Venom and Honey. As a press that prides itself on devotion without boundaries, this volume is an exceptional example of what spirituality can and should be. Hare Krishna. Martinet Press. Okay, just a couple more disclaimers before we go into this book. I am not a Hare Krishna devotee myself. I've chanted the Hare Krishna, though, probably about like a total collective of like 10 to 12 minutes in my entire life. Okay, and this was never in one sitting. This was like broken between 2 and 3 different times. Okay, I might be a little more liberal with this. I actually probably chanted Hare Krishna for like 10 minutes or under, between 3 or 4 different times. And it is powerful. It does change your state of awareness, and it does bring about the bliss. Now, I am not a Hindu, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not a Hare Krishna, but I do respect Hare Krishna, and I do respect Hare Krishna's devotees. Now, if you want further context, I highly suggest you go back, pause this video if you have not watched this other video already. Okay, my video, Primal Craft and Hare Krishna. Is Lord Lucifer, the perfect Red King of Sulphur, also Lord Krishna? If you have not watched this video, stop this video right now and go back and watch that video, because this book is going to reveal to you and show that Krishna is a badass. Krishna is not this soft, gentle, cuddly little lamb of a god, you know, like the Jesus of the Christians. You know, he is not, you know, a friendly, politically correct God. Krishna does what Krishna wants to do. You know, and for those of you who read the Bhagavad Gita, there, you also know that Krishna is also Shiva. Krishna is the Purusha. He is the 1,000-armed one with 1,000 faces and 1,000 heads. You know, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals himself as his cosmic form. He reveals himself as the Absolute with all his terrible faces. Some of them are smiling, some of those faces are pleasant, and some of those faces are pretty scary, almost demonic looking, you know, with with fangs and sharp teeth breathing fire, and like souls and stuff getting munched in between Krishna's teeth. I mean, it's pretty scary. It's pretty terrible. And Krishna shows all of this to Arjuna, and basically he's just having a regular conversation. Now, this is very profound because this is the highest awareness. In truth, Krishna, even though he is that elevated, even though Krishna lives in the absolute, he lives in the void, he is super powerful, he is the Purusha, he is the thousand-armed one. He's also one of the most closest to mankind because he's willing to step down from his power to make himself small and communicate with us. Okay, so think of like what Krishna is doing in the Bhagavad Gita there. Think of like if I'm talking to an ant. Okay, if I'm looking down at this ant there, there's no way I can hold a conversation with an ant with my, triple-digit IQ and like all that. I'd have to make myself really small. I'd have to shrink myself down to the ant, and I'd have to dumb down my words to the single-digit intelligence of that ant to essentially hold a conversation. That's essentially what the gods do. The gods are living archetypes of the cosmos, or living beings, however you want to interpret them. These living archetypes, they are forces of nature, and there are also dark gods. There are also acosmic gods that live in the void. There are acosmic gods that represent the inversion of these principles, or the anti-principles, or its counterpart, like hot and cold. Like push and pull, like the white hole and the black hole, so on, etc., etc. And just go back, watch that video if you haven't seen it already. Primal Craft and Hare Krishna. Cannot recommend it enough. I read from the Bhagavad Gita, and I also show you a picture of the void from the Red King with all the faces in the void. It's so profound and so badass. This is really going to give you an idea of who we're talking about. Okay, Krishna is not who exactly you've been told he is at face value. Krishna is much more profound. Krishna, in my opinion, is a Luciferian archetype. And even in some grimoire traditions, Lucifer appears as a young child. Well, Krishna also appears as a youthful boy, or a teenage boy. Okay, enough with the commentary now. We're going to be reading from the actual book. Okay. Jayalalita Devi Dasi on page 10. There's just the Om symbol. Dedication. The suggestion was made that my roving, loving words of God in existence be compiled and published, and it was with trepidation that I came to consent. I expressed these thoughts openly so anyone watching might witness one mad woman's relationship with the divine, aware of the risk of causing offense, but driven nonetheless by that ultimately compelling force that is bhakti. I'm going to interject here. Devotion is bhakti. Tantric yoga. When you are devoting to a deity, you are exchanging your energy with the deity, and the deity is giving you some of his energy. You're having a symbiosis. You're co-mingling souls together. Continue on. I agreed that these thoughts may be collected and shared in this volume in that slim chance and found hope that my ravings might elicit a spiritual reaction in someone, whether anger or agreement, recognition or recoil, a spark of sensation in the heart or a gripping of doubt in the mind, anything to bring forth the reflections of Radha Krishna, Kali, Kalki, and the power they possess. There are those who deserve my thanks, who I will not name here to spare them association with my questionable words. But there are names I will speak here and throughout eternity. I dedicate to this to Vrinda Devi, who stands watch at the gateway to Vrindavan, and has come to this planet in the form of the Tulasi tree, the touch of whose wood is the key between worlds. I petition her to allow a glimpse of that forest to agitate devotion dwelling within the heart of the reader. I dedicate this to Gopisvara Mahadeva. The form of Lord Shiva has taken as a gopi, guarding the entrance into the sacred circle of the rasa dance. I petition her to be merciful to those of dubious nature, as she was herself in her form as Shiva, and to allow access to the transformative power of pure love that makes admittance into the innermost Leela possible. I dedicate this to Lalita Sakhi, the Siksha guru of the gopis, who is within the forest, within the circle, and is instrumental in arranging the pastimes and incite all the worlds. I petition her to cast her saucy smirk in the direction of the reader, a hint of promise of what she is privy to and what they might be. I dedicate this and all things to Sri Radha Krishna, who are what they are. I petition them to keep enjoying themselves. Venom and Honey. The shackles will chafe whether I strain at them or not, yet I can still look my jailer in the eye, rattle my chains, and add my cackle to the cacophony, and look at the oozing pus of my wounds as if it were sweet on my palate, calling the turnkey's attention to my demented and defiant imperturbability. My memories within this incarnation grow indistinct, events in my life dissipating like steam on a mirror as soon as they occur. By the last few years of daily Mahamantram chanting and wiping away the obscuring film of false ego, polishing the reflection of my true self. The cold, eternal center of my heart, Sri Krishna, the cold, untouchable, immortal place within my soul that burns cool and constant in my breast through the temporal fires of the material plane. My soul burns cold for you, Krishna, colder and colder. Once I wanted to stick the world like a pig, bleed it out, butcher it, and allocate every portion of the hog, squeal included, for meats to fill worthy bellies, rather than supporting the snuffling swine of society. Now I let that pig wander where it will, and rather than salivating for its slaughter, sustain myself on the subtle herbs and acerbic roots around me. You steal the clothes of the gopis as they bathe. When will you steal the garments of this mundane form of mine, exposing me wholly to your love? Taunt my naked soul. It is in man's natural constitution to love, even when it wears the mask of suffering and strife, or another hard face. But the memory or promise of the smallest moments of sweetness can sustain a person through the most grueling ordeals life can force him to endure. And hankering for that simple, sometimes impossibly elusive sweetness that can be the innermost impetus for the grandest displays for which mankind is capable, that heart-melting joy, often so maddeningly fleeting, has compelled civilization as much as other motivations of power. Love can move, attached with so many stories, so many realities, but its essence has the power to strengthen, and that can be held to when all the rest is lost. Yes, I've been wrung out by loss only recently. Through experience of love and the irrevocability of its slipping away were beyond my control, and through an ache is present I am ultimately enlivened by the raw stuff of life. Grist for the mill of consciousness, the grinding process of being. Self-control is containing the impulse to run around naked and screeching and biting people's faces off, wondering if in 20 years I'll be a crazy, homeless, Hare Krishna, Sankirtan mendicant, pacing the pavement of a small southern town, this one or another, dingy and raving with bhakti, retiring in the night in the woods outside of town, trying my best to avoid disgruntled property owners. Though, I reckon, if I was too noisy they'd have me committed. So little room for divine madness these days with all the insistence on sanity and safety-contained behavior. The night is coming when I will step into the shadowed trees and cast my mind through the distance and come to you. I will place my hand upon your brow, and perhaps I will stay a while, or perhaps I will soon leave. I wonder, will you acknowledge me? Once my body was hard and fearsome, and I warred with you as an enemy, and was slain at your behest. Now my body is soft and receptive, and I war with you as a lover, and am slain every day with love. The battlefield has moved to my heart. I do not worship Kali as a mother. Kali has no children. Her body is not a vessel of reproduction. It is a tool of terror and destruction. Kali does not carry a child. She carries a sword. Kali does not feed an infant. She feeds herself on the blood shed by her own hand. She may be viewed as a beautiful, but she may also be viewed as grotesque. She is raw, naked, radiant, wild, and inspires both awe and horror. Her role is not inherently subservient, gentle, or nurturing. She kills, she fucks, she feeds, she screams. I worship Kali because I feel an affinity for Kali. I feel a desire within me to be among her witchy cohorts who slaughter, laugh playfully and terribly, and inspire fear. I'd sooner bear a weapon and take down life than bear life within me. I worship Kali as a goddess who is not confined either by her beauty or desirability, nor by her fertility and maternal qualities. She is no goddess of love, nor of motherhood. I'm going to interject here. Kali is not the goddess of soft love, or love as you think it is. Kali is related to the planet Saturn, and she is the tough mother. She is the mother of tough love, who hacks off all the bullshit off your mind and soul, all those chains and like false ego and those false constructs that are holding you back. So in that way, when Kali hacks you into 1,000 pieces, she is a very loving goddess because she is setting you free. If you'd like to learn more about Kali and who she truly is, I refer to you go to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel and watch the videos on Kali. Preferably Kali, goddess of death or goddess of liberation. Even Parvati, who is indeed a wife and mother, is more than a benevolent mother goddess. She is an ascetic who undertook extreme austerities to win the attentions of her husband, Lord Shiva, whom she now joins in a life of empowered renunciation on Mount Kailash. Her children Ganesha and Kartikeya are not the product of an ordinary conception and impregnation. Kartikeya was born from 6 flaming droplets of Shiva's spilt seed placed in the Ganges, producing 6 children, which Parvati combined into one. Ganesha was made by Parvati as she was bathing, by scraping the sandalwood paste from her skin and forming it into a child. She utilized external resources and her own internal potency to shape and create these very powerful entities. In her role as Parvati, she is instrumental in bringing these demigods into existence and influencing them so that they may engage in the divine activities set out for them, which she engages in her own divine activities other than motherhood, where there is need by taking one of her many forms, and in the meantime she meditates on Kailash, still potent and ready. This is why I turn to the Hindu understanding of female divinity and divinity in general most readily. It is thorough, encompassing, the many aspects of power and pastime, rather than trying to pigeonhole this understanding to unlimited, generalized definitions. There are many goddesses exhibiting many attributes, just as there is a broad variety in the appearance, abilities, and personalities of human women. A goddess may be worshipped as beautiful, but another goddess may likewise be worshipped as ugly. You may worship a youthful goddess or an elderly one. You may propitiate a marital goddess or a maternal one, according to her pastimes and yours. You may ask a goddess for health and wealth and for knowledge and for domestic comfort, for inhuman strength, for vengeance. A goddess may be gentle in nature, or she may be stern. A goddess may be compassionate, or she may be bloodthirsty. A goddess may be earthly, or she may be cosmic. There are any number of forms, and behind all these forms is power. It is not superior to the worship power without form any more than it is practical to try and harness electricity without the proper appliance. A goddess is just an idea, a figure to be conceptualized and boiled down into some more easily comprehended notion. This is a mother goddess, this is a war goddess. Divine femininity is not a notion to wrap up female power in terms of sex, beauty, chastity, motherhood, etc., nor should these aspects be denounced or denied in favor of one over another. There is power in beauty, there is power in wisdom, there is power in rage, there is power in birth, there is power in austerity, there is power in desire, there is power in cruelty, there is power in calmness, there is power in effort, there is power in clarity, there is power in struggle, there is power in labor, there is power in contemplation, there is power in harshness, sweetness, action, and inaction. Kali may be a mother to one man and a fright to another. She may be turned to for protection from the horrors of everyday existence. She may be sought out for benediction and enacting in brutal duties. She offers solace with one hand and blood with another. This is not conflict, this is completeness. I admire Kali as a being unto herself and worship her in a sisterly mood. As the sister of Krishna, and a sister I would wish to have of my own. There are those who would turn to her and love her for reasons other than my own. And she has the capacity to satisfy these relationships just as an ordinary individual woman may play many parts to many people, yet always remain essentially herself. Kali has a female body, but she does not produce children, yet she is found nurturing by those who ask it of her. She is by her nature fierce, but she has a capacity for compassion. This is power. The potential for one form of power without necessarily utilizing it, childbirth, in the inherent essential power of one's nature, ferocity, and also the willingness and ability to assume forms of power deeper than or beyond one's inherent nature, compassion. For me, Kali is about violence, wrath, and lust, but I love her all the way more that she may also convincingly play the mother while her blade hovers threateningly. Such is the truth of divine femininity. My primary interests are sex, violence, library books, but I am perfectly content to forget about library books if it means going back to Godhead. Perhaps I am a bad devotee because I'm not more interested in the ironing saris and personal hygiene, but I am more concerned with being an amusing companion to Krishna, and cursing angrily and having less vicious thoughts are fun. I have these fantasies of being a haggard old woman seducing the teenage Krishna. He is randy and strapping and comes to me, an outsider and an ugly thing, but bold with age and experience, and though he has been with tender young gopis, I induce into sensual, perhaps disturbing as well, activities and play. Apart for him, these girls cannot, the dominant party in the sport, grasping his thigh, twirling the curl of his glossy hair, round a long claw of a finger, grinning and pouring my wretched, unabashed gaze upon his comely face, grotesque but irresistible to the divine virility of the most perfect young man, lewd, suggestive, vulgar, but open and honest in my desire. He enjoys mixed revulsion and attraction, and the hanging moment of indecision between giving in to my advances or recoiling. It is a crude enticement I offer. I am not perfumed or bed-decked in fine clothes or jewels, but I have strong knowing hands and keen hungry eyes for his radiant young form, in eagerness to show him what I know of a man's body, and an ability to appreciate his beauty and improves in the way one of those whose allures have long faded. I guide him in initiatory rites for acts he has not yet committed with those fledgling girls. I kindle his imagination and encourage him to try anything he would like, for nothing is new to this old Malkin. But he surprises me. Of course he does, for it is he who has guided my every move, drawn my hand to his cheek, the wink to my eye, my trembling mouth to his neck, my arm to wrap round his waist. I am overcome, overwhelmed, played. The seduced is the seducer. The lad has lured me in. I am enchanted as one of his girls as he beguiles with the flute. I am beguiled by my own invitation. By taking him, he has had me. Oh yes, let me be had. Krishna! Okay, gonna interject here. I remember now. I saw a picture of Krishna with the flute, and this might be a possible connection. Pan, the Greek god Pan, the horned goat man, he also plays a flute. They're called the Pan pipes. And that's where we get the term Pan pipes from. It's also where we get the term panic, because he has the ability to cause fear when he shows his formless, void face. So, I mean, I got pretty strong feelings that Krishna is Lucifer, and that Kali is Hecate or Lilith. Krishna is Lucifer, Pan, the serpent, and that Kali is the dark goddess, the Lilith, dark mother, the torchbearer, goddess of witch flame and witchcraft. Continuing on with the book. Calling down the elements, summoning the darkened sky to lower itself to me. At my insistence, the clouds descended to be my lover. Their black shapes surround me. The night embracing me, it is dark and full enough to remind me of the Cheyenne. Self-control, internalized desire and aggression, feeding upon myself, not wasting potency in external dissipation, sustained by the blood, and feeding and fueling my own power, inciting rage and lust, inciting myself, assuaging through internal brutality and cannibalism. Tonight my offering is benign. Will a time come when a more demanding sacrifice is called for? Every night I look upon you, illuminated as I pay homage, and I meditate upon your hands, two palms outstretched with the boon in the abhaya, eradicating doubt and distrust and soothing my mind, and your other two hands bearing your articles of destruction, the sword and what it severs, and I am reminded of possibility, and within me is the charcoal lump of dread, of anticipation, of readiness, that may be blown upon and brought into the flames of cataclysm at your altar of the world, a flame of reverence and of ruin, to wave at your terrible feet. Fold up the cozy daydreams of an unfounded superiority, and put them away in the cupboard along with the other childish fancies. I had this sort of vision, half asleep in the morning, awake enough to hear at the rain of thunder, or gone enough to dream, in which I was a large, ugly, cumbersome, demonic thing, raging and beastly, and Krishna was killing me, and he was just a boy, much smaller than I was, but so much stronger than would be possible for any other boy, for I was so large and powerful in my own right, and he took his time in bringing me down, drawing me out, wrestling me, and throttling me, but there was an incredible tenderness to it, and I could feel the pain of this death being wreaked upon myself as the purest love. Krishna's hands, bruising and maiming my flesh, were as sweet as love-making, and it was like being a kind of love-making, being grappled, beaten, and defeated by him, a mimicry of love-making, my slaughter, a pantomime of intimacy, a brutal shadow play of conjugal union. I wondered to myself then, as I have wondered before, have I taken this woman's shape so that I might love him as a woman, love him as might not be possible otherwise? Hate with a perfect hatred. I am cut from the tree, stripped and cured, fletched, expertly knocked to the bowstring that is drawn taut with the song of my unleashing. My favorite time to chant is in the darkest part of the night, in a totally darkened, silent room, or when the weather is pleasant, out in the night, either on my porch or in the cool grass. When is your favorite time to chant? Concepts of compassion, companionship, love grow dim with meaningless. Why should I seek truck with humanity and all their flavorless pastimes and bland notions? I received this anonymous question on my blog today. Do you believe Adolf Hitler to be an incarnation of Kalki? To which I responded, no, I do not. I believe Kalki is Kalki, and Adolf Hitler is a minor historical figure amongst thousands of others within the Kali Yuga, whose name will be long forgotten, well before it's anywhere near time for Kalki to appear. I would say Hitler's greatest contribution is in making the auspicious swastika such a loathed symbol over so much of the world, even to the point of criminality in those who display it, thus decreasing piousness and associating a sacred sign with evil in the common consciousness. This is some small service to Kalki, for it prepares the inhabitants of earth that little bit more for his slaughtering blade. But really, he's not particularly important in the scheme of things. I suggest those with an interest in Lord Kalki read Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm going to butcher this, I'm so sorry. Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Kalki Purana, rather than relying on highly dubious sources such as Savitri Devi and Julius Evola, who have no connection to an authorized Sampradaya. Hare Krishna. And I heard no more from the inquiring party. The past is dead. Yesterday's feast makes a hollow meal. The future is for the hungry. Why bask in the cozy stench of rotting traditions, or seek nourishment from a past whose bones have been suckled of a marrow? When there's a harsh and terrible tomorrow, rich and fat with potential, Krishna is both the source and recipient of all pleasure. All pleasure in the infinite, inconceivably diverse tapestry of existence, in both the material and spiritual worlds, emanates from him and flows to him. But he is, as an individual, a naughty and tricksy fellow, who enjoys above all things fighting, fucking, lying, and stealing, stirring up conflict, and making mischief. Interject here. What does this sound like? Loki, the trickster, and Pan. Loki and Pan. Telling you, Krishna is Loki, is Lucifer, is Pan, is the devil. Continuing on. He cares only for his own good time, and the entirety of creation and the complexity of destiny itself is designed for this purpose. So basically, she is saying that Krishna created the universe as a sandbox. This whole multi-dimensional cosmos, the 9 worlds, is God's plaything. It's God's toy. I'm going to make the argument that God does play dice of the universe for fun, and he readily enjoys in it. Continuing on. A common argument amongst those who doubt the existence of God is that if he exists, he must be like a horrible child who builds castles in the sand, only to laughably demolish them. A cruel monster of a boy who waits patiently at the ant hill with his magnifying glass to try to fry the insects one by one. My belief is that this is not untrue, and that the universe are his castles. The universes are his castles, and we are the ants. Krishna takes equal delight in our suffering as he does in our more obvious pleasures, and the countless sensations in between. However, it is also my belief that we too enjoy these things, albeit with a limited consciousness, and it is by this limited consciousness that we are able to enjoy them in fullness. the worst tragedies that can befall a person, the most horrific atrocities which can be committed, the most pain experienced or afflicted, violence, terror, war, strife, suffering, of every shape and size, suffering which can break a person, this is in truth absolute pleasure to the soul. The soul is Krishna, and Krishna is pure pleasure. And we are expansions of this pleasure, expansions of this ultimate consciousness, experiencing every manner of pleasure in every form imaginable and quite a few unimaginable, from the highest opulence to the most degraded hell. This is where the transcendental immortality fits in. The soul serves Krishna, which, in other words, one might say the soul serves itself. I believe in both the unbreakable shackles of fate, as well as the boundless free will, and that Krishna determines every turn the time has in store and controls our every move in it. And yet, because it is Krishna who resides within us, we are living emanations of free will itself. The soul knows neither right or wrong, good nor bad in the literal sense. These are playthings, toys in the playroom, morals and laws, society and order are costumes and rules in the toys for the elaborate children's game of dress up and make pretend. We all play with one another in this arena of existence. Some play the game very well and assume their roles with a passion, but some have a sly, knowing wink at all the silliness, though they continue to play all the same. I can rest assured that whatever I do, say, think, feel, or participate in is exactly what I ought to be doing and exactly what I want to be doing, even if illusory material existence suggests otherwise. Within me is that wicked boy who steals butter, who steals girls' clothing, who steals brides from their husbands, who steals lives from demons, who steals hearts and twists fates around his plump, spoilt little finger. And so I am beyond rules, even as I follow them. I am above the law, even as I obey it, or break it, or am punished by it. I can do no wrong, even if I have pangs of conscience. Fitting in my current role, I have no limits, even if my soul chooses to act within the parameters of a select few. The same applies to every single living entity in my vicinity and out of my scope. What games shall we play? Bored with the current state of human affairs, spiritually tapping my fingers in bland patience waiting for the species, reaches the point where cannibalism is a cultural mainstay, so maybe I'll have something entertaining to do on this planet. Till then, I'll just keep watching the kettle boil and see what death brings. A lifetime of hatred, both rampant and cultivated, has taught me that sometimes the cruelest expression of hate is pity. I pity all the self-proclaimed lawless and anti-establishment rebels, anarchists, Satanists, outlaws, and badasses who dutifully attend school and family functions, who accept authority and discipline from their parents and extend family, their teachers, their peers, their social groups, their sexual partners and would-be sexual partners, their friends and would-be friends. Pity. I pity them and their weak choice of masters. Everyone serves someone, and it's pitiful to play otherwise when you serve the most milquitoast and mundane of authorities, and dread alienation or failure. Family, life, social life, material success are poison. Slice into the wound and suck the poison from your veins. Spit it to the ground and let the blood flow clean. There are those who would be a Christ and make a spectacle on the streets on the way to crucify themselves, and there are those who would be Pontius Pilate and wash their hands of it all. Each idea is a piece of trash, and there is a whole giant sprawling dump piled full for your mind to explore. How much of this life have I spent haunting more than a living ghost, a shade of a person, shiftless, shuffling around the same small space, trapped in meat and bones, sucking the butter from Krishna's fingers. I feel slightly bad when I shudder with distaste at the notion of staggering number of people who exist in vast varieties across the planet who I can hate in so many specific in general ways, because I loathe them all oh so easily, but they are each and every one of them jiva souls. But I soothe my mind with a reminder that I am simply enjoying a little adversarial rasa with humanity. So I grit my teeth and continue to hate, hate, hate with a fervent devotion to that blackest of the blackguards, Sri Krishna. I am humbled by human birth. Human activities and interests and tendencies in society disgust me, and I disgust myself when I think of those human things I enjoy or engage in myself. Human sense gratification is so petty as to be pathetic. Human power and consciousness is limited and hazy, but it is not so engaging as being, say, a tree, in which one can enjoy the happy ignorance of absorbing sunlight and nutrients from the soil, or a demon or a resident of some higher or lower planetary system in which the daily delights and or debauchery make the best orgy on earth a few millennia ago look like Granny's Thursday night crotchet group. It is quite humiliating being a silly little human scrambling about for self-importance, but this humiliation, when I don't get mired in frustration, rage, and hatred for my own species, can lead to humility, for I am of the very same species and no better or worse, and distinctions between humans are less about superiority or inferiority as just difference in seasoning between dishes for the ever-grinding plate of Vishnu. When I look at the past times, I am not engaging in another species or on another planet or entirely different dimension, and the distractions which are offered me as a human, which hold appeal and less a time progresses, I see that I am left with only the true option. I see that I am left with only the option of devotion. My taste for human life has never been great and diminishes, and yet I am still here, and so my taste for Krishna increases. And so I am grateful for this embarrassing, uncomfortable human birth. I still do human things, still enjoy human pastimes, but with the awareness that it's weak stuff and makes me long for the strong and intoxicating wine of pastimes with Krishna. There is a whole planet filled with billions of individuals with broadly divergent lives and pastimes, and I have naught to do with any of them. And this thought is bleakly soothing. I am an undisturbed pool in the depths of a darkened cave. Interact and interface with the world and yourself as you will, Vishnu. I just want to sleep. I pray to one day approach the consciousness of Ravana, who has no hatred for humans, who are not worth the thought, and instead uses his hatred for God. Interject here. Now, when she's saying hatred for God, she's not saying hatred for the absolute, or not saying hatred for the monstrous, wild God who plays dice with the universe. She means the hatred for the God of the people, the God of restriction, limitations, and societal norms. She's saying her hatred for the demiurge, a hatred for Yaldabaoth, the false God, the Yahweh Jehovah by the Abrahamics, the demiurge. Continuing on. Harry takes and takes and takes. Maybe one day I will be left with naught but he. I laugh at pornography. I laugh at desire. I strive for my cunt to inspire revulsion and fear. I want any lust for my body to be disturbing and unnatural, sickening to the one who feels such lust. I want it to be profoundly ugly, and to confuse the senses should such a vile sack of flesh induce unwilling, inherently wrong desire, contrary to any comfortably nurtured sense of what is desirable. Loathe me, long for me, waste away and die with hunger for, dread and subsequent disgust with my touch. I will eat you all and laugh and grow ever uglier. The night before my Haranam initiation, I sat in my room of the ashram and meditated on the Lalita Sakhi. Now each visit I have made to a temple that has been fraught with a degree of personal tumult. But this comes as no surprise, as Krishna is a mischief maker, and often makes special mischief for those who love him. I love to visit the temple, for it is an atmosphere saturated with spiritual potency, but there are often some differences in my nature from the other devotees that cause friction for me, which is disturbing because I simultaneously have great love for the devotees. So the night before I was to be initiated into the Sampradaya, I thought of the transcendental relationships which exist in the Goloka Vrindavan, and specifically of the differences between the right-hand gopis, who are sweet and submissive, and the left-hand gopis, who are haughty and contrary. Gopis of either nature love and serve Krishna, but often disagree amongst each other as to their methods of interacting with Krishna. I thought of Lalita and her temper and her tendency to scold Krishna, and how this may be seen as conflicting with the loving relationship, but it is in fact her own entirely fitting way of playful adoration of her Shyam. And just to think of the arguments which must occur between the gopis. The fits of jealousy, of course, but there are also simple conflicts of nature, though they remain dear friends in their love of Krishna, and this helped my mind rest over any of my own problems with the devotees. And I went to sleep dreaming of Lalita Saki. My head swam with bliss when I was granted the name Jayalalita the very next day, so that I might be reminded of her every day, so that my own name might sing her praises. When I was a little girl of 4 or 5, one of my favorite games was to take apart my dolls, pull off their limbs, and hang the arms, legs, and torsos from the Venetian blinds, and pretend I was in a market selling human meat. A fitting Kali Yuga childhood. The snake knows when to coil, when to watch, when to strike. The spider knows when to weave, when to wait, when to feed. The cat and the carrion bird each have eyes a-glitter, with patience as they observe their quarry, hunter and scavenger alike, expert at choosing the right time to move. I'm going to have some water real quick here. So a very, very dusty air in this house. So I wake up in the morning every single fucking morning with post-nasal drip. It feels like I smoked like cigarettes the night before when I haven't smoked. And it's like, I got this post-nasal drip. My throat is so fucking sore in the morning. So I have to drink lots of water. You know, sometimes I try to gargle it, but it doesn't help much. Yeah, that's not doing shit to the fucking mucus. It's all like dried up and shit by now. Continuing on. Had a grand time chanting my rounds today. Material distress added an edge. And the moment I touched the sacred Tulsi wood and experienced a powerful burst and spent the next few rounds laughing and weeping in a maniacal fashion I haven't enjoyed in quite a while. I wept with joy and apprehension and laughed at the knowledge of my own pleasure in my pathetic earthly problems. I wept at the sight of Vrinda Devi and laughed with fear at her invitation to cross the threshold to her domain. I felt as if for a short time I had a foot poised to move in another world, but the other foot was unable and unwilling to step away from this one. I laughed at being a madwoman, privy to these sights and beckonings, and I wept as I was a child afraid of illusory pain in this dying, insignificant frame. The intensity subsided, and my mind settled, the slit shifting back into place. I'm weary and tense with mundane dread, but my mind is also sleeping, smirky, lazily and fully aware. It is a lark and a game and will play out as it will, and my reactions are charades, and it's just a part of the fun. Fun and games, play acting, and party hats. I am destiny's bitch, eternally submissive to the whims of fate. My tongue has a callus from biting it. I am a vessel of hatred. Fill me and drink. I had a dream a few years ago of Krishna. It was unlike most dreams I have, ordinary dreams, mundane dreams where I am viewing the scene from the outside, an observer like watching a film, experiencing what's happening, but seeing myself separately as I go about it. In this dream I viewed everything through my own eyes, as in life, from myself, as myself. It is difficult to describe how it was. It was so different from waking perception. The colors were different, not more vibrant as one might expect, but more muted in a sense, a sort of subdued, subtler, but consensual in a way they are not in this world, caressing shades, shadowy rich like velvet, like the texture of flower petals. You could almost feel the colors with your eyes. The light was clear but soft, soft as twilight, as moonlight, as the light before dawn, but it was not dim, and I could see perfectly. We were in a natural bower, wild with verdure, fragrant with unchecked bloom. His limbs were beautiful, his arms and hands and shins, his skin darkly luminescent, grayish-black, like clouds hovering round the moon. The tilt of his face, slow, slow glances, the turn of his lips. We were playing with one another's hair. First he with mine, then I with his. Young fingers turned clumsy and shy, bold and sure, deft and artful. Long strands of my hair twined around his fingers. He laughs, my fingers reaching for a curl by his cheek, capturing it gently, timidly. All is quiet, his eyelashes, his eyes, more play, laughter, and silence. The delicious tingle in my scalp at the gentle tugs of his attentions, the feel, the indescribable texture, and oh, the warmth of his locks as I play with them. Waking was a regretful experience in a way, but I was grateful, oh, to be sure, for the night's sweetness. It's one of those nights when the incense from the night's Kali Puja accumulates in my head and swirls between the grooves of my brain, making everything decidedly weird. The Lord keeps me on a tight leash, not unlike an ill-tempered billy goat. Naughtiness is next to godliness, O Govinda. Every day I think of Radhi. Every day I think of Krishna. Every day I think of the forests of Goloka of Vrindavan and its blessed residence. But I do not beg to return there upon my death. I do not fear that I may take a birth again upon this plane, any world, any universe, any form, any body. I do not beg to return to the spiritual world so that I may enjoy it. I beg that I may serve Krishna wherever he wishes me to be. I do not fear having a hellish or ignorant birth, for I know that I shall be used in his service, even if I am unconscious of it. I do not disregard the material world. It is Krishna's stage and stomping grounds, where he comes to enact his pastimes. He has his pleasures here, as surely he has been in Vrindavan. We are his feelers, billions upon billions of his endless little nerve endings, extending his pleasure beyond our individual understanding. He enjoys us wherever we are, and that is enough for me to beg for any birth at his pleasure. Any suffering is endurable when it is for him. How many men have I killed in your service, sweet one? How many more will I kill? Krishna is the supreme controller and the supreme enjoyer. It is he who has made me as I am. It is he who loves my hate-filled soul. Govinda, I would commit any atrocity for you. I would surely stay my hand at your leisure. I am your servant, and you may call upon me for acts of love, acts of death, acts of mind-numbing mundanity. Thou art mine, and I am thine. I'll be mean as a hornet for you, my love. or sweet as honey on your tongue. Anything you ask, anything to please you, O dear wicked boy, and rogue of my heart. I wish I could be a thorn that might prick a gopi's foot and make her cry, so that Govinda would come to her and pluck me from her tender flesh and soothe her tears. I have a heart which beats, but my internal heart is flat-like, and my hidden heart, still more secret, vibrates, thrumming eternally, an ever-struck chord. The divine blade grows sharper with each strike, wetted with blood, nothing dulls its edge. I worship the sword of Kalki, the gleaming weapon, leading the charge of transcendental warfare, fashioned for that resplendent death-bringing avatar to inflict mass genocide of an entire age and usher in the next dawn of the cycle. The sport of divine wrath, shedding blood and wreaking terror as playful as a cat. Such a fine game to play part of the demonic foe, serving that monstrous avatar with enmity, and to be swatted, scratched, toyed with, slaughtered and gutted, liberated by disembowelment, your hatred and your intestines an offering to his horrific, ravenous power. What a frightful, magnificent blessing to have those transcendental claws buried in one's entrails. I'm going to interject here. What I'm thinking of right now with all the violence and like all the fantasies being ripped apart by Krishna or Krishna's wrathful avatars, I'm thinking of that movie Event Horizon with that guy who played Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, the guy who played Morpheus in The Matrix, and Sam Neill. That movie about the spaceship that goes to hell, and they recover a tape on there from the last crew and that activated the warp drive, and it went to hell and essentially went into the void. And like on the security camera, all they saw was like a massive blood orgy, like people disemboweling themselves. Like one guy was like driving a stake through his own head or something like that. Like the captain tore out his own eyes and like was holding his eyes out in his hands. Like it was just really violent. It was like really crazy. And now I'm starting to get why the Event Horizon crew descended into the blood orgy. It's because they didn't do it out of fear. They did it out of ecstasy. You see, in the void, everything is pleasurable. Everything. It's pure ecstasy. Even pain. What would be painful, what would be agonizing to the ego and the self is actually a great pleasure to the soul. And that's what the author is saying. Basically, this devotee of Krishna, in my opinion, is an adept. She has gone far beyond the limits. She practically lives in the void right now, even though she still has a body, even though she's still using a body, but her essence, her soul, is already in the void. She's already one with Krishna, doing, whatever sensations, whatever Krishna, and her, are doing, whatever fantasies. And this is a very scary thought, but what if this is true? What if we are God experiencing itself? What if God is a monster? What if God created all of us just as playthings? It's the most terrible curse to think of. It's also the most liberating blessing because it means that we are free. Okay? God wants us to experience pain. God wants us to experience torture and war. And God also wants us to experience peace and freedom. We have to experience all these things. And we will continue to incarnate. It's like you are destined to incarnate as a serial killer. And then you will, in the next reincarnation, you will reincarnate to be a serial killer's victim. You must know everything. You must know pleasure and pain, torment, torture and coddling, freedom and slavery, war and peace. You have to know the all. You have to know the mysteries of the all before you can be one with the all. You have to know and experience the void in the flesh before you can experience the void in the spirit. Continuing with the book. I frequently think to myself, what a wonder it is to have been given the name Jayalalita, to every day to be reminded of Lalita Sakti, and by my very name sing her praises. Jayalalita, Jayalalita. I meditate on my name, and meditate on she who is so expert at setting the stage for the conflicts and liaisons between the divine pair. She whose eyes flash with a sweet cutting anger, whose heart softens with utter love. She whose left-handed nature and contrariness intensify the dalliance of the transcendently mischievous lad, and agitates increased pleasure in his union, his inseparable other half, the alluring effulgent Radharani, by her hand, hard words, and combative challenge to his roguery. Knowing this friction will heighten their enjoyment, I meditate on she whose gentleness is all sweeter by being tempered with a fiery disposition. I meditate on my name, and on she who acts with complete love and devotion, by utilizing every aspect of her nature to the full, and know that I am capable of the same. I meditate on my name, and I know that I am gravely ill, in great pain, if all else is taken from me. I have my name, the Maha Mantra, and my love, and I need nothing else. Meeting in the night without end, a strain of music and dance, perpetual union, the consummation of bliss. I feel as though I could set myself alight in the street, and anyone watching would think it a fireworks display. My flames might be viewed and admired, but still I burn. I am an insect with a jewel-sheened carapace of loneliness, and I want to be crunched underfoot by that being whose love destroys with its completeness. Squash me, expose the soft pulp inside. Stinking corpse of an old age, worshipping dead personalities and dead ideas, worshipping the stinking, desiccated corpse of a lusterless past. Burn your corpses, fling the ashes to the seas. There is always a taker, willing to lap up vomit from the gutters to regurgitate into gaping mouths. Man will live to vomit another day, and swallow it down time and time again. Start the day clean and refreshed by adding to your regimen the regular evacuation and flushing away of your finer sensibilities. Evacuation and flushing away of your finer sensibilities. Gleaming hair, skin color of the moment dusk is past, reddish palms and soles, eyes trimmed red, bloodshot with ardor, sure in stride and glance, uncanny grace, every step a gesture of utter felicity. Kicked in the head by Vishnu, right between the eyes, stamped by that transcendental foot, walloped in the face by Sat, Sit and Ada. 1,000 pleasures, 1,000,000 and 1,000,000 more, condensed into the droplets of morning dew, swept swiftly, whispering feet, lush grass, misted at the brink of an eternal dawn. A sound that reverberates throughout the entirety of existence, beyond time, beyond matter, beyond senses, a song of pleasure, the culmination of meaning. This pleasure, a pure pleasure that calls forth everything, seduces the worlds, moves all that is pleasure, and he plays its tune with his lips, his breath, his fingers, his desire, his enjoyment. The song is yours, and you are the song. A mellifluous state, to neither fear death nor regret living. A rainy Garua Purnima, grateful for increased disinterest and looking for love, approval in interaction through human relationships, bathing in patience while coldly reviling disorientation called friendship, loving indifferently, cool, impartial compassion, unfeeling, even in the midst of some emotion, hardened to my own reactions, while by my will softening my eyes upon others. The callus is so thick it cannot be pierced. Let there be no fear of love, and acceptance so thorough, so multifaceted. It sometimes manifests as anger, disgust, spite. It is only love strangely adored. Hate has roots of pity and desire. The root of pity and desire is love. The petty disputes of this realm are insipid mimicries of the divine conflict of the transcendental plane. The friction I experience here prepares me to battle with you, Madhava, a sweet sharp combat. A twilight skirmish of flashing eyes and heated words. School me, Lalita, Saki, in the art of loving warfare with that boy. Fight me as a demon. Fight me as a girl. Grab my arms, and I grab yours. Fool me into thinking that I am winning. Overpower me and vanquish me. Exquisite defeat. All things in moderation, humanity included. Abandoning illusion for the bewildering ecstasy of truth. Seeking pockets of madness in an insufferably sane world. He brings the eclipse with his visit. The night is pale, the moon is darkened, and when he comes to me, he blots out the stars. Spirituality is boring if you don't run the risk of being hospitalized for it. I love these quotes. I love these sayings. It's so fucking true. And if you're not being at risk for being put in a mental institution or like being put into a hospital for your spirituality or like spiritual practice, like what the fuck are you doing, man? Go beyond the limits. Go beyond the limits. Continuing on. The cold point of intensity in my heart, surrounded by the nebula of self, drifting elements, memory, premonition, potential, taking shape as the power at the center burns dark and timeless. Offerings made to the shrine of contention, argument for its own sake as a reigning god. Millions of bickering disciples, dutifully performing their squabbling rites. I feel your presence in your lesser material manifestation. In the very elements I feel you in the earth. I walk upon the breeze upon my cheek, and the water to my lips, in the solidity of stone and all inanimate matter. I feel you in this inferior energy as one feels the impression of a lover, in the lingering warmth of the bed, a trace of scent upon the pillow, the sound of movement from the next room, a beautiful and pervasive but incomplete, heartbreaking nearness. Earlier this evening, I sat by myself in a commercial establishment, watching from the window the lights of passing traffic and the garish signs filling station across the street, and the bustle of activity of automobiles and pavement, electricity and movement. But in my mind, I was in a very dusky, secluded place, and I felt the brush of deft fingers, lotus-tipped, bringing a delicate confection to my mouth, a melting sweetness on my tongue, honey, rose, and ghee, a warm touch with warm gaze, a warm sly grin of watching my lips closed round his fingers a moment, tasting, and then his thumb brought to my lower lip, catching a drop of syrup, tracing the shape, and coating it in succulence. My eyes are darkened, reflecting the sheen color of the shadow, as I gaze upon that black, effulgent form, gleaming in the night, darker than any movements. Lithe as the clouds over the moon, I watch you. After a single night of frenzied dancing in the moonlit forest, I lay my head in the cooling, dew-kissed grass of some secluded grove, and dream 1,000 dreams, 1,000 faces for myself, until I wake again. My lips were made for foul language and Krishna's name. My first memory is from the age of 2, being pushed in a stroller in a crowded area, observing people walking along and disliking them. It only got worse from here. I began kindergarten at the age of 4, having long beforehand for the chance to be around other children, and quickly realized I abhorred other children and loathed the pandering kindergarten teachers as well. By the time I was 7, I was immersed in an existential abyss, and would go for walks alone and contemplate just how much more meaningless time was likely to be spread before me, being only 7 damned years old. I would sit in front of my mother's mirror and look at myself for long stretches of time, and experience and foster a deeply disturbing disassociation from myself, thinking, that is my face, that is my body, but that is a stranger, that is not me, that is not what is inside me, that is a stranger. I must be no one. I am not real. I began going through puberty at the age of 9 and became increasingly indifferent to things like hygiene and speaking. Things continued apace, scathing myself with cynicism, covered head to toe, inside out, in burnt, scalded, destroyed tissue, burned down to a lump of charcoal. These days I am still charcoal, but ignited once again. I want my mouth on hot, secret organs, liver, intestines, viscera. Thank you, Krishna, for these bestial thoughts. They come and go, but I will be a woman or a beast for you. Anything you want. Our souls coax us to perform these little plays, sometimes strange, often sad. These conflicts between us are lines trained on our lips, when in truth our hearts are calling for love. It is a farce, it is a tragedy to develop our taste for loneliness and longing, forcing us to enact in a small scale the anguish of separation. Cheyenne. One night a man dreamt he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Many scenes of his life flashed before him in the sky, and during some scenes he noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand, but more often only one. The man asked the Lord, "Gosh, were you carrying me through these periods of my life?" And the Lord replied, "No. I got tired of your boring ass and tossed you into the ocean of nescience." Krishna may close the door, but he'll throw a rock at your window, then crawl into your house and take a shit in the corner and steal all your sweets. He'll open that door on his way out and leave it gaping wide for burglars to come in. I love that. See how badass that is? I'm telling you that Krishna is Loki, is Odin, is Lucifer, is Pan. He's the devil. He's here to fuck with you, but he's also here to liberate you. He's the great trickster spirit. But this trickster spirit is also our best friend. He's also the best friend for mankind. He doesn't fuck with people because he hates you, fuck these humans, and gonna torment them. No, he fucks with humans because he wants to fucking ignite their spirit. He wants to ignite the fucking fire inside of yourself. He lights a fire under your arse. Okay? To quote Pan Paradox, Vexior, the author of Pan Paradox, Pan Towards Chaos, he says that Loki, or the devil, he pours gasoline down your back and flicks burning matches at you. Not because he hates you or wants you to suffer, but because he wants you to take your mortal existence very seriously. The devil, or the trickster spirit, is the one who lights the fire under your ass and gets you going. Too many people, too many human beings are like cattle. They just wander through life being aimlessly controlled. They take everything too seriously. They're controlled by the media. They believe everything on television. I mean, going outside, looking all at the masked faces there, everyone is literally feared. They are so fearful of this fucking flu virus. This flu virus is gonna kill them and shit. And they're masking themselves, and I'm like, this is why we need the devil. This is no way to live. This is no good existence. This is terrible existence. People, we're not created to fucking live in fear. We're created to live in rapture. We're created to sing, dance, fight, fuck, kill, and eat. All these bestial desires, they're not sinful. There's nothing wrong with it. They're there for us. And to quote, I forget who it was, Terrence McKenna or Joseph Campbell, one of those guys, I forgot who said it, but he said, "I cannot believe in a God who does not dance." The dancing Shiva, the Pan Piper, the devil, Lucifer, Satan, Belial, Krishna. Many, many, many endless names, but one sinister essence within the Apeiron, within the boundless. And it is here for our benefit. It's pure consciousness. Okay? Lucifer is pure consciousness, highest consciousness. Okay, we come from this pure black fire, black burning consciousness. We might as well enjoy ourselves while we're here, while remembering and rendering everything that we do in devotion and giving thanks to that great, great black burning flame. Giving thanks to the flame. Giving thanks to the burning spirit. The great eternal darkness, the burning spirit from which we all hail from. Continuing on. If you don't mind, I'm gonna read this story once again because I just think it's so badass and funny. Krishna may close the door, but he'll throw a rock at your window. Then he'll crawl into your house through said broken window, take a shit in the corner, and steal all your sweets. And then he'll open the door on his way out and leave it gaping wide for burglars to come in. I mean, at face value, he sounds like a real asshole. I mean, Krishna, he sounds like a real asshole, but really he's not. He's trying to wake you up. He's trying to wake you up, saying, stop taking life so seriously. Enjoy your existence. Cherish your flame. Nurture your soul. And be grateful to the great black burning fire, the black spirit that you come from. Continuing on. I once prayed to Kali to provide me with an outlet for my wrath and savagery in service of her. Now I pray thanks to Kali for the reminder that mine is a frail frame, ill-suited to carnage, that I must maintain patience and calm and control, and my allotment will be realized, with or without blood. Kali Yuga castration. This world is one of Krishna's neglected harems, filled with worn-out slags and pudgy eunuchs, and when he visits, he fucks both indiscriminately. Mercy needn't be kind. Mercy can be a harsh thing indeed. I have taken this human birth so that I might learn of Krishna, conceive of him, dream of him, in ways I am not capable of my spiritual identity. It is my true self, some hateful, singing thing, a hornet, a poisonous thorn, a snake in the grass, that can only love him, reach for him with pain. Have I assumed this shape and in mind so that I may imagine caressing his skin, not striking at it, piercing it? Have I taken material form to serve him with new and more complete affection and knowledge? Venom and honey. I hunger like a jackal, following in the wake of Kali's bloodshed. I'm ready to wait as long as it takes to get my hands on you, Madhava. I'll be a sinner and a crone, and most of all, patient. Age and tribulation prepare me for the long-awaited delight of your body, dark one, sweet one, bright and black and sly one. O Namah Shivaya, protect and guide the mad, the destitute, the deranged, the ghastly and fearsome, the lowest and the poorest, the haunted, the degenerate, the sullied and the scorned. I reach into my heart, deep, deep down, to where my soul is hidden, and I find it as a cool and pitiless being who resides there. I suppose it's something that there are still a few people who continue to slurp the watery soup of human philosophy. Before long, they won't even play at such pretense, and it'll all be grunts and hooting, as it is fitting the fate of the human race. But what a lot of headache and silliness to endure before they are ripped for the blade of Kalki. What a joke. Krishna has played on us all. I don't care anymore if I'm slaughtering or amongst the slaughtered. I just want that clean, hard contact with Vishnu, his footprint in my brow, well stomped. Cruelty, deception, tricking and tormenting others are all reviled on the earth, but are key elements in the nectarian pastimes of Radha and Krishna, the gopis and the residents of the transcendental spiritual plane of Goloka Vrindavan. What is hated by the mundane consciousness is relished by the transcendent personality. Krishna is a thief, a liar, a lout, and a scoundrel. Standing in the cool night mist, the sound of droplets from an earlier rain falling from the trees, filling my lungs with the rich dark air, chanting low, Krishna, vibrating under my breath, his name exhaled with a faint vapor in the winter night, it is like a tryst. Krishna, more maddening with familiarity. 10 years ago, I was a filthy-minded, creepy pervert. Today, I am as lecherous as ever, but I lay it all before Krishna. Now, when I turn my debauched gaze upon mortal boys, in its route, automatic, routine, and ritualistic, my lust is regulated and channeled, offered in the leavings taken like a sweet tasted first by Cheyenne. It is experienced through a lens, clinging obsession, filtered away, leaving the plain, pure essence, just a moment of sexual, emotional peak. To be perceived and processed as much as a sense, a taste, a turn, a thought. Any man is possessed of a soul, and it is that which I desire, longing to touch the spirit, a hint of dalliance with the source of Krishna. I chant in moments of lust, Krishna's name reverberating in my mind, or on my lips mingled with the base carnality of the beast I am. Krishna manifests in his mantra, with me as I call to him, with me a coarse, impure, ill-bred creature, with me in my careless depravity. It is the most natural relationship in the world, as I smile some wicked, licentious, and I, some fleeting flash of man, and whisper Krishna to me. Krishna, Krishna, there you are. Awake on earth, day followed by day, lifetime followed by lifetime of the same material drudgery. It is but dreaming. I sleep at Radha's feet. When will I awaken? Keep me clean, Krishna. Keep my consciousness clean. Even when my mind must wade through the muck and mire of human engagement, let none of it touch me. Human flesh is so soft. Something demoniac lingers in my subtle body, traces from long ago past times, and the flesh beneath my skin crawls with the urge to rend, maim, fight, destroy, to preen in terrible arrogance and enjoy the wild carnage as reward for the militant discipline of my race. I want to eat you. I want to chew off the testicles and breasts and soft places of the body. I chafe in this human body surrounded by other human bodies. The sight or just the thought of whom will spontaneously fill me with the rage that I am no longer large, powerful, awful, serving my black king in his evil task, ordained by divine providence. So I must continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and burn away the dead past, and burn away the past sensations, memory, instincts. Burn it all away. Vatsayana Razya, in the gingerbread house. Radha and Krishna, Hansel and Gretel. Get lost in the dark wood, divine children, and find my little cottage. I have treats for you. I have all sorts of games in store. Cackle, fat little fingers. Krishna in a cage. Eat more sweets, my plump one. Dear little sister Radha, pushing me into the oven. Roasting in devotion. Oh Krishna, it fills me with a bitter sort of mirth, the way you deny me human association. Are you jealous for my companionship, or do you wish me to be exiled from my species as well as from you? Do you want me isolated so that I can hanker for you? Do you veil me from the company of others, so that I will be left with none but you? Oh Krishna, I am laughing alone. Can you wait a minute? What you want? I will in about 10. Sure thing. Very sorry about that. I had to sign a Mother's Day card, which I absolutely have no problem with doing. Excuse the interruption. I am almost at the end of the book, and I am not going to just stop this recording and start all over again. You're just going to have to take the imperfections. Like I said, I'm a real person. I have older brothers. I have my mom. We have a dog here. So Gotta find my place again here. Radha pushing me into the oven, roasting in devotion. O Krishna, it fills me with a bitter sort of mirth the way you deny me human association. Are you jealous for my companionship, or do you wish me to be exiled from my species as well as from you? Do you want me isolated so that I can hanker for you? Do you veil me from the company of others so that I will be left with none but you? O Krishna, I am laughing alone, inside myself, where you are, laughing like a mad woman alone. Anytime I hear someone speak of God as formless, as more concept and personality, I want to ask them, are your friends formless? Is your significant other or boss formless? Are your children an idea? Are your parents a concept? Are you a myth? If you can be attached to the fleeting physical forms and temporal relationships you share with people in this world, what is preventing you from being attached to Krishna, who is the ultimate form with whom you may have the most significant relationship? I am a familiar as a human, utterly lacking in all areas which may be counted as human success. This is one of the greatest boons of destiny for my spiritual progress. My taste for this earth is scarce enough to start, and dwindles further still. I have wasted little energy or interest in being a good human. So my soul may wax, true, though I am bound to this life. I appreciate the chance to live as a human in this fleshy confinement, to witness other souls enjoying their particular, if dubious, delights in a fleeting moment of the vast stretch of history in this pinprick area of the material universe. Oh, how I appreciate this vision, so that I may know weariness and disgust, disinterest and alienation, which are a delight of their own, and I have known Krishna through separation and better understood his games, and how far-reaching and meticulous and maddening they are. Thank you, Krishna, for keeping me sour and detached, so that the only sweetness I may turn to is you. So, that is the end of Venom and Honey. There are image credits. I'm not going to be showing the images in this video. The images are all black and white, and they're a little bit dark. They're hard to see. But, I mean, if you want, I can take pictures and I can put them on the Google Drive. I can put them on the Google Drive. Just for fun, I mean, I can read you the image credits. So the cover is commons.wikimedia.org/wiki/file maker unknown India Krishna and Radha Google Art Project.jpg. Page 13, commonswikimedia.org/wiki/file insider mailer 770.jpg. Okay, I'm not going to be reading like all like the dots and dashes and like underscores and shit. So what I'll do is I'll take a picture of the image credits and I'll put it in the description. So if you want the links, if you want to like see the images, you can just like take the links and type them yourself into the computer to get the images there. About the author, Jayalalita Devi Dasi is an initiated member of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and lives in the southeastern United States. Well, that was a very fun and beautiful book to read. I've been wanting to do an audiobook for this in a while. I've really been wanting to do this for a while. I've had this book for at least a year now, and I wanted to do an audiobook for this, but I forgot how awesome, how beautiful the devotion is in this book. Devotion is everything. Devotion is bhakti. I mean, you see, this is what really separates the true life. This is what really separates the left-hand path and the right-hand path. Okay, right-hand path are afraid. They're afraid to fuck their gods, you know. So you're gonna love a god. You're gonna love a god, or an archetype, or an archetype or whatever. But you're not gonna fuck your god. You're not gonna love your god like a person. You're not gonna love it. You're not gonna exchange your energy with it. Then what the fuck are you doing? Devotion is everything. devotion. If you are a Satanist, you should fuck the devil. If you are Luciferian, or you love, or you wear the symbol of Baphomet, do you just wear it as a symbol of rebellion, or do you love the goat of Mendes? Do you love the devil? Do you want to fuck the devil? This is the question. If you worship a goddess, do you just love her? Do you just ask her for treats and blessings? Or do you really love that goddess and want to fuck that goddess and exchange your soul with her? And 99% of people are fucking afraid to take their devotion to the next level. Mrs. Dasi here, she has no limits. She just completely rolls it right out. Devotion to the utmost extreme. Just a couple dedications I'd like to make before I end this recording here. Venom and Honey by Jayalalita, Devi, Dasi. I was wrong, Emil. I don't know 100% certain if she's J.S. Hoy, if she is Jill Sutter. She might be. She might not be. But there's a high likelihood that she might be J.S. Hoy. That was Venom and Honey. The Snavia Devotional. I would like to dedicate this reading to the great trickster spirit, Lucifer, Loki, Pan, Odin, Krishna. Hail the trickster spirit. Trickster spirit is your friend. I'd like to dedicate this video to the great dark mother, which is the womb, the Gnunga gap, the Tartarian flames, the void, the absolute, the source from which all consciousness wellsprings from. Hail the eternal darkness, and thank you for letting me detach myself from you to take on this temporary form and have this experience, this video game that we call Earth, and to play a video game character called a human. Thank you so much. And thank you, Gnunga Gap. And thank you, Yawning Chasm, the great void, for healing me. And thank you for all the tests and for all the challenges I've come to face. And Lucifer, Odin, the great dragon, the Lord of Lords and Master of Masters, the Lord of true magic, sorcery. May our bond and my interest in you continue to increase. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Goat Lodge, signing out.
Vishuddha Kali presents Mahavatar Sri Haidakan Babaji.
बोलो श्री हरिकंदी भगवान की जय। परम गुरु महेंद्र महाराज की जय। श्री हरिकंदीश्वरी माता की जय। श्री जगदम्बे माता की जय। श्री बजरंग बली की जय। हरिकंदी 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 बोला ईश्वर सच्चिदानंद संवत्सरा शिव संवत्सरा शिव बोला आलाका पेराका जागापति बोला हरिकंदी हरिकंदी बोला ईश्वर सच्चिदानंद बोला संवत्सरा शिव संवत्सरा शिव बोला आलाका पेराका जागापति बोला जय जय हे रागान बिहारी जगा कल्याणाय युवाचारी तुम्हारे ओम सदा गुरुदेवा अल्लाह गुजर शिवा महादेवा परमदया माया हृदय तुम्हारो शरणागत घोषीर्गाम्बारो कौन सौकात मुनीन्द्राय जगमे दूरनऊयदया श्रीनामे बोलत वचन सदा भयहारी बाबा मनसा बोलय तुम्हारी मंगल भवन मंगलहारी प्रभु तेरे चरण कमल बलिहारी त्रिभुवासी मुनि परम उदारा बोधावज्ञे ज्ञान तुषार साय सनातन धर्म उदार ज्ञानान्वित शुचि धर्म उच्चार सब ईश्वरार्म श्रेयकर दाता विश्वतृणानाय धर्म गाता प्रेम सरलता सतयुग भ्राता ज्ञानी धर्म मानव सुखदाता नाम भजोय सूरुबाई प्रभु अभयं जरदितुवाई अंतर हृदय सुत शिववास पैशानंद ध्यान दुरास सवगुण सागर संत महान आदि अंत जिगाम जान तेरा गान विचिदय राम पावन अमित सुखद